Today we're going to be taking a look at a very underrated deck, Gholdengo EX. I randomly decided to play Gholdengo EX at a League Cup this past weekend, and I went undefeated. I didn't drop a single match, not even in Top Cut. I 2-0'd every single match with Gholdengo EX against some decks you would think would be pretty bad matchups. Let's take a look at this list. All right, we have the 70 HP Gimme Ghouls with the Minor Errand Running attack. Allows you to search for 2 energy cards, but we're never using that attack unless our opponent plays the Genesect to block our A-Spec Energy Search Pro. Normally we want to go second and we want to set up with Arven, grabbing like a Buddy Buddy Poffin and a TM Evo, using the Buddy Buddy Poffin for the Scyther or a couple of Gimme Ghouls, and evolving those up to get our initial setup and go from there. This is kind of a come from behind deck. You definitely want to take 1 or 2 turns to get set up, and in the late game there's just not a whole lot your opponent can do. Gholdengo EX is basically a delete button. It can knock out anything in the format with relative ease, and with the Scyther Scizor combo you have a single prize Pokemon that helps offset the prize trade. Coin bonus is just a broken ability. As you can see, we don't play a lot of draw support in this deck because coin bonus allows us to draw 2 when it's in the active spot, and we get an additional draw from the bench. We can get up to 5 cards per turn with coin bonus if we have all 4 Gholdengo EX on the bench, and that is the goal with this deck, is to get all of your Gholdengo into play. The Scyther Scizor combo is kind of my own little tech. I really enjoy using the Scyther Scizor combo. The biggest reason is Scyther has free retreat. The Scizor allows you to hit through things such as Mimikyu, Farigiraf, just all sorts of things that Gholdengo struggles into in a wall deck. The free retreat and the punishing scissors attack is just absolutely broken. It'll keep your opponent from benching things such as Pheasantipity, Teal Mask Ogrepon, Monkey Dory, and other Pokemon with abilities, because if they do, you can do up to 310 damage pretty easily, and you could do even more with Area Zero in play if you're playing like a Terra Box deck. I played a Terra Box deck in round 1. They tried to set up Pikachu. They did take multiple knockouts with Pikachu, but they had so many abilities on play. I just swept the endgame with Scyther and Scizor. It was just too strong for them to deal with, especially with all of the abilities in play. The free retreat is just so nice. It's really hard for your opponent to go after the Scyther, so you could usually put both on the bench and then evolve them as needed. Leaving the free pivot Pokemon on your bench is just super valuable in a lot of circumstances. Pheasantipity EX is just a broken card. If you're able to use Pheasantipity's Flip the Script ability, you could draw up to 8 cards if you have all 4 Gholdengos and the Pheasantipity. Just absolutely broken, some of the combos that you can pull off with this deck. You end up having 10, 15, sometimes 20 card hands. Just massive hands. And if your opponent hits you with Iono, you were usually able to get out of it fairly easily. Most turns, you want 2 cards. You want Super Energy Retrieval and your Lavencia, and you're able to do basically whatever you want damage-wise. Play 4 Arven. Arven is the key card in this deck. Allows us to search for Buddy Buddy Poffin and TM Evo on our first turn. Arven also allows us to get whatever item card we need for the turn. Usually that's going to be Super Energy Retrieval. With the Lavencia and the Super Energy Retrieval, you could do 300 damage with just those 2 cards. If you have Lavencia in play, all you need every single turn is a Super Energy Retrieval to do massive damage. We play the 2 bosses orders. Sometimes you just want to take out Pheasantipity or an easier to price target if you don't have enough energy. The Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking allows you to set up for potential Iono turns. You can put a Super Energy Retrieval, you could put Lavencia, you could put Gholdengo on top of your deck, and then you can do another Gholdengo behind it and just keep drawing that way. Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking is just a, it's just a puzzle piece fixer for this deck. Allows you to put whatever card you need on top of your deck, and then you draw into it with coin bonus. Professor Turo's Scenario seems kind of like an odd card in this deck, but in so many circumstances, it's helped so much. Your opponent will try and trap you with like Saw Block, will try and like boss up and hit around you with Scream Tail. I had all of these situations come up in this League Cup that I won, and Professor Turo and the Switch were able to get me out of them and bring me the win. For Super Energy Retrieval, just broken card in this deck, allows you to do so much damage. For Buddy Buddy Poffin, you have to get your Gimme Ghoul and your Scyther into play as quickly as possible. Sometimes you can kind of struggle to find Pokemon, but once you're set up after turn 2 or 3, it's really hard for your opponent to deal with multiple Gholdengo EX. The Pheasantipity EX ends up becoming an easy target, but there's a lot of games where you don't even have to put the Fez in play if you have all of your Gholdengo set up. You can use Professor Turo to bring up that Pheasantipity EX, just a really strong play. Manipulating the price trade and just keeping it so your opponent can't take easy knockouts. A lot of your opponents will try and set up to take KOs on the like Pheasantipity or support Pokemon. And if you remove those liabilities from play, it just kind of ruins their whole plan and can bring you an easy win. 3 Nest Ball, 3 Ultra Ball. I didn't really know the count to do with Nest Ball, Ultra Ball. Just 3 threes felt like it was okay. Finding other cards to cut for a 4th Nest Ball or 4th Ultra Ball, just you're not able to do so. The deck is so tight on the amount of cards you can play because you need so many energy. Obviously, we play 12 energy, and it does kind of limit what you can play tech card wise. We do play 2 counter catcher. A lot of the time you are setting up multiple turns, 2-3 turns before you actually start attacking. There's a lot of games where you don't even want to attack what's in the active. Sometimes you don't want to attack like the Cleffa against Gardevoir. Just leave it in play so it takes up a bench space. Counter catcher allows you to boss around and gust up around the Pokemon that's in the active to take a better, more keying knockout. Night Stretcher is just an amazing card. You can set up 4 Gimme Ghouls. If your opponent knocks out a Gholdengo, use Night Stretcher to pull back one of those Gholdengo. Just keep drawing. Allows you to pull back a Metal Energy for attacking with your Scizor. Just an overall versatile card you have to have in this deck. You could cut down the Night Stretchers, maybe do like Energy Retrieval or maybe even a Super Rod, but I felt like 2 Night Stretcher was all I needed for most matchups. Energy Search Pro allows you to search for one of each of your energy types. It just disgustingly broken card, allows you to take huge knockouts in the very early game if you're able to draw into it. Switch, just need a pivot option. Most of your cards have a 2 retreat cost, and if you get trapped, it can allow your opponent a few extra turns to beat you. 1 Earthen Vessel, just be able to find it with Arven. Sometimes you have to search for your Metal Energy to be able to attack. 2 Timmyfoo, you don't want to price Timmyfoo. Most of the time you're searching it with Arven on your first turn, so you have to have that to be able to evolve. Going from like a Scyther Gimme Ghoul, Buddy Poffin into 2 more Gimme Ghoul, then into 2 Gholdengo on the bench is just so broken. It's so good. Sets up your draw engine, gets your attacker in play. That's mainly the play you want to do every single match. So most matches you want to go second. If you go first, it's not that big of a deal, especially if you have, Buddy Poffin, Nest Ball, Gimme Ghouls in play. But if you go first, there's a good chance that you'll end up with 1 Pokemon in your active and give your opponent a chance to knock you out on their first turn going second. Vencia is one of my favorite cards in this deck whenever you're able to use it. We do play 2 Electric Energies just for this stadium. Adds 100 damage. It just adds 100 damage to our Gholdengo attack for free and is basically the energy retrievals instead of just playing the energy retrieval. Allows us to get around item lock and just you can use it multiple turns. A lot of decks have cut down on the amount of stadiums they're playing, so it's just something that can stay in play. If you know your opponent's deck list, if they're playing 2 or 3 stadiums, you can wait until they play their stadium first, and then you can end up with Levencia as the stadium that sticks in play for the entire game. Jamming Tower is the key card against Gardevoir. You have to be able to use Jamming Tower to knock out something like a Drifloon, and then you take another knockout with whatever they promote, allowing you to kind of catch up in the prize trade against Gardevoir. That's the main deck that it's used against. Also helps against Terrabox and Dragapult. I mean, it turns off Sparkling Crystal. Sparkling Crystal is really hard for us to deal with, especially on a Pikachu EX. The biggest deck that I struggled against in testing this deck was decks that played Pikachu. You can kind of play around it just because people just honestly they don't know how to deal with the Scizor. It's just hard to deal with the Scizor, and the more abilities they put in play, the more Pikachus they put in play, Pheasantipity, cards like that, the stronger this card becomes. And it's pretty easy to offset the prize trade. Just take a 50 damage attack into the Pikachu and then finish it off later. It's really hard for your opponent to do multiple Pikachu attacks. I played a Terrabox in round 1 of the League Cup, and they got 2 Pikachu attacks off, and then their deck just fizzled out. They couldn't get anything else into play. They used up all their resources trying to one-hit KO the Gholdengos, and then I just swept with the Scizor at the end. We play 4 Metal Energy just to be able to attack. You want to get down to a board state of honestly 4 Gholdengo EX, and then you want to have the 4 Metal Energy just in case your opponent tries to boss trap you. You're able to attack with everything on your board. If you have a board state of more than 4 Pokemon, and it's not the Scyther with the free retreat, you can easily get trapped if you have all of your energy in play. Try not to get all of your energy in play. Manually attaching for turn should only be done to the Pokemon that's attacking. You can set up 1 additional Pokemon kind of in the background, but I would never set up more than 1 additional attacker in the background just because of that 2 retreat cost. It can get kind of sketchy if your opponent starts trying to trap you. So you want to make sure you have enough energy to be able to attack with everything that they could possibly bring up into the active spot. You're not really trying to retreat it. You just want to start attacking with whatever they bring up. Even if it is, 110 damage with the Scizor, it just allows you to punish your opponent for trying to, boss gust trap you. overall, this deck was a lot of fun to play. I didn't expect it to do so well. I ended up beating Joltik Box, I beat Terrabox, Gardevoir, I beat Raging Bolt, and it felt fairly easy to beat all of those decks, and they were all running pretty well. They all got their attacks going, you know, turn 2, turn 3. Nobody was really bricking. The deck that I actually struggled against with the most was a Chien Pao deck, and it was just a crazy build, but it was able to match, you know, knockouts with me because Chien Pao, Excalibur, it was just, you know, back and forth, back and forth. I ended up pulling it out because Sizor is super effective against Chien Pao. But if Chien Pao wasn't weak to steel, I probably would have lost that matchup. Let me know what you guys think of Gholdengo down in the comments. Let me know how you think it's doing in the current meta. Make sure you check out this video right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.